All right, next up, Dave, you're asking about keyword research after doing several rounds of keyword research, and it sounds like the client has, yeah, talk to me.
Well, yeah, it's basically for a client. I mean, I've done several rounds of it, and it's like, I mean, we've got just done a bunch of blog posts and, and expanded pages and all this stuff. Is I'm just wondering if there is a difference. I mean, how would you go about doing keyword research when you've got like hundreds of keywords and you know where you want to really target and you have, I mean, what's the best generic approach?
Yeah. So I don't keep track, nor do I recommend you keep track of keywords for which you want to rank. Like that's such a false positive. We want to do the keyword research to understand how customers are looking for something that
Right,
the client has to offer. So I
right,
don't have a long list of keywords for all my clients, right? Because I also don't want to have the focus on the rank. I want the focus
right.
on the
Yeah,
conversion.
we don't report
Right.
that
So
anymore.
what I do with, first of all, do you have your SEO blueprint for this client?
Yeah.
Okay, so that would have each page with a kind of a keyword topic idea focus on that. Okay, so then what I do on a regular basis is I'll go through the SEO blueprint. And you'll notice in at least my template for the SEO blueprint, there's two columns. One is first time updated and last time updated, right?
Mhm.
So I'll sort them by last time updated, so it's the oldest last time updated first. I'll put that URL into Search Console under the Pages report, and I will enable impressions, clicks, and rank there. Then I will, and I'll put the URL in that report. And so what it'll show me is all the phrases for which that page is showing up in the search results. And I will look at not only impressions, but clicks and potentially the rank in Search Console to say, oh, I thought this word was the words that customers were looking for, but Google has found either another word that I'd rather look at, or is like the gold is, oh, look, it's ranking 2.6 for something, and I have the whole page optimized for a different phrase. So I've actually go back into the page and better optimize it for the whatever it ranks 2.6, which is potentially what I didn't necessarily have as the phrase. I could potentially take that page and make it more successful for the client. And so you go through the optimization process of, okay, rewrite the title tag, rewrite the meta description, rewrite the content, let a new phrase. And what I like about this doing regularly is that Google is always testing phrases, which is why we don't want to look at rank. But if I start to see, and over a couple months, go back to this, 1 month it'll be optimized for this phrase because it looks like the best opportunity. And then it'll improve, but then the next month it might say a different phrase. So I'll kind of optimize it for the new phrase, which ends up, as I'm kind of tweaking the content, I've accidentally then incorporated all these varied phrases on the page. Because 2 months ago I optimized it for this, and I'm taking that same page and now I'm optimizing for new. That doesn't mean I remove
That's what I was
part
going to ask.
over. I just add to it. And what I find is you accidentally then start showing up for stuff on that page. So that's one of the things I'll do for on a page by page basis. If I know that I've done my keyword research, I've divided out my pages, I know what each page is focusing on, I will go through that blueprint on a regular basis. And then I'll be like, okay, well, this month I think I have bandwidth to write about 3 or 4 different landing pages, or at least rewrite or optimize them. And so I will pick the 4 that are not seeming to perform as well as I'd like, and I'll go back to those and kind of optimize them again based on the blueprint. And then the next month, those being the most recently optimized, now push to the bottom, and I do the next 3 or 4 or whatever I have bandwidth to do for a month. And you kind of go through the optimization process. So rewrite the title tag, rewrite the meta description, look at the content. Is this a page that you kind of cut corners on? We all do it. We only wrote 300 words on this page. Okay, let's bump this up to 600.
Right.
Or
Yeah.
or maybe it's already got 800 words and it's got all the best practices, sub headlines, bullet lists. Maybe you need internal links at that point. So you're kind of going through the process on that page to say, oh, well, what is this page missing that could be better? Is it internal links? Am I linking to this from any of my blog? Do I need to scroll through my blog and find opportunities to link to it? Whatever it might be, and just kind of go through that. Is this page performing poorly in the Web Core Vitals? Do I need to improve that? Right? Apply it to that page in light of that. So that's I don't know if I'm answering your question, because you're really asking
Yeah.
about the overall keyword research, and I'm kind of talking about optimizing pages. And I guess I'm answering your question about more keywords with, first, make sure your pages are optimized well before you keep adding more keywords, because the potential volume of keywords is really infinite.
Yeah.
And we
Right.
could drive ourselves crazy by, well, what about this keyword? What about this keyword? In reality, we don't go back to square one to say, okay, what is Google sending people to this page for? Is that what I've tried to optimize for? Or is Google wrong? Like, oh crap, they totally misunderstood the intention of this page. Okay, well, then guess what? Gonna rewrite that. Or, wow, this is a much better word than I could have thought of. Thank you, Google. I'm going to now really double down on that idea. So that's what I'll do. But as far as, like, I do recommend every 6 months redoing the keyword research process as a whole.
Hmm. Yeah.
And
It's
yeah.
time to do that.
And so what part of the reason of that is because usually 6 months into a client, I'm really starting to understand them. When I first did the keyword research process, I kind of don't get it. I had a client that when I started first thing keyword research, and I was like not getting it. I felt like I didn't understand the client. The client had a hard time explaining to me what they were doing. Well, 6 months later, I'm like, oh, I totally get it. I understand it a little bit better. So one of my clients, for example, does these really niche stuff for industrial plants. So I optimized everything in light of industrial. And then while I was as I said, okay, that little task on my sheet said redo your keyword research. It's been 6 months since you did it. I was like, that nagged me. And I went back and I started looking at their data in Search Console, just overall data coming in, and saw it isn't necessarily industrial. It could be plant maintenance kinds of stuff. Not as in organic plants green, but like industrial plant maintenance stuff. And so that gave me a whole new idea to go back, and I did the whole keyword research process for the client, but in light of the word plant rather than industrial. And I found, oh, for some of these things, I think it was like masonry, they're not looking for industrial masonry, they're looking for plant masonry. But not plant masonry in terms of growing things, but and so that pause every 6 months using the Search Console data, because that is what Google is sending people to the page for, right? That's what Google has said. We think this page is about this. And so that's a great place to brainstorm. Combine that with the fact that I understand this client a lot better than I did 6 months ago. Right? Because I'm writing a couple blog posts a month for them. They're pushing back. That's not really what we do. Okay, great. That's really valuable information. and that's going all in the queue. So that's why every 6 months it's great to revisit, because sometimes you'll be like, oh, I can't believe I used to think they did that. Or, oh, here's a new way of thinking about that. And so that's where I'll revisit. You're on mute. You're on mute, Dave. You're
But
there you go.
once you understand them, then you got to go through keep looking at the pages, what Google is saying. Are they saying the right thing? Are they sending the right traffic? That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And as part of that process, you may discover like new ideas you've not, because the brainstorming process, which is part of the keyword research process,
Right.
could potentially help you say, oh, I don't have a page about this. Yeah. Right. Again, because you've learned more and you've seen, for instance, oh, Google's sending a lot of traffic to this page for different phrases that I've not thought of, but they're kind of different, and your SEO intuition will kind of tell you that's really a different idea. And it's a great conversation to have with the client. So tell me the difference between plant masonry and industrial masonry. Oh, well, we do, and they explain it, and you're like, oh, I've learned, or oh, we need us 2 pages because there's a distinction in the industry that I couldn't pick up because I'm not an engineer. I don't sell what
Yeah.
they do. And so kind of bringing them in on that, asking some questions on some topics you think about that, I wonder now if can be a really great conversation for the client to clarify what they offer. It can be a really great way to identify gaps that you might have missed in your first round. But I like looking in Search Console data for the brainstorming opportunities there at that
Okay.
point, because after about 6 months of doing SEO, you're going to have some data in there
Right.
to work with. Sometimes when you start a client, there's no data in there, maybe some
Right.
brand stuff.
Okay.
Right. Does that help?
It does.